Hello Physical Fiends, it's Jordan here with some just announced physical releases. These are games that were announced in the past week or two. They are not releasing this week, okay? Suikoden 1 and 2 HD Remaster is the big one for me, of course. We've been waiting a couple of years for this, but at least now, in March next year, we'll finally get a re-release of two of the greatest JRPGs ever made. And they're remakes too, so they're looking better than ever. Okay, I'm not a huge fan of the backgrounds, but I shouldn't complain too much. If you want a fantastic story of two games that are connected together, you need these in your life. They are wonderful, and every JRPG fan should give them a try. The first game is amazingly paced, and you can breeze through it in like less than 20 hours. If you know what you're doing, probably about 15 or so. This is getting a physical release on Switch, PlayStation 5, and Xbox Series, and according to VGP, who asked Konami, yes, both games will be on the cart or the disc. Good news! And if you want to pre-order it or any of the retail games in this episode, please consider using the links in the description. That massively helps me out. You can pre-order from VGP with any links below, helps the channel. They're a great company with free worldwide shipping if you purchase something over 80 Canadian dollars, which is only about 60 American dollars, and Suikoden has instant free worldwide shipping. What else we got? MySims TM Cozy Bundle is a double pack of games that were spin-offs of the Sims franchise. I think everyone probably remembers these games, or games like these, plaguing game stores in the early 2010s, but apparently, unlike the bunch of shovelware that we had, these were supposed to be okay for their audience. I've never played them because I was already cozy in the womb. I had no need to be any more cozier. This is releasing on the Switch, November 19th. Cuisineer D1 Edition is releasing physically on Switch, PS5, and Xbox Series early next year, January 28th. This is a game making its console debut after releasing on PC already to decent reception. It's Moonlighter, but with food. You go dungeon exploring during the day, gather ingredients, then cook up a storm in the restaurant in the evening, or it could be the other way around, I don't know. This Day 1 edition includes a soundtrack CD, art book, and a classic face towel to wipe away the tears of your sad life. I mean, awesome life. Rune Factory Guardians of Azuma is releasing on Nintendo Switch in March next year. This looks like an evolution of the franchise, getting ever more anime and increasingly sparse. I don't know, the environments in these games feel so empty now that they're in full 3D, but this features two protagonists with an Asian flair. Hopefully it turns out better than Rune Factory 5, which wasn't as well received by fans compared to 3 and 4, which were excellent games. Tales of Graces F Remastered is getting a physical release on Nintendo Switch and PlayStation 5 early next year in January. I love that Bandai just pumping out these ports or HD versions of the Tales series on a yearly basis now, especially considering the rumors going around that Xillia is supposed to be next. This is cool. I just hope they take more care with this one than they did Symphonia. My theory is that they learned from that era and this game was supposed to come out earlier, like maybe this year, but maybe they're taking their time with it. Fingers crossed anyways. I haven't played this one. It was a Wii game originally and only in Japan, but the F version was when it was ported to PS3 and released in the West. And it does look like a Wii game, still retains the sub-HD art style, and I think it works. Aged much better than most, and I can't wait to try this one for the first time. I'm quite excited about it. Dollhouse Behind the Broken Mirror is getting a physical release on PS5 and Xbox Series in October. This is a sequel to Dollhouse, which I don't think was a great noir horror game, but it was unique and interesting, and I'm mildly intrigued to see how they handle the sequel. Fitness Boxing 3 was almost a direct killer. When this popped up in the Nintendo Direct, I think everyone went to stick the kettle on for a cup of tea. They're good fitness games, but we really don't need a 2-minute segment about the thing we already know. Still, if you fail to get fit the last 2 times, or with the manly Hatsune Miku which is releasing this week, and the proper pansy fist of the North Star, then, you know, 5th time lucky? You might just be crap at exercise at this point, I've got to be honest. Civilization 7 is getting a physical release on PS5, Xbox, and surprisingly the Nintendo Switch. Now, I know the previous game is on the Switch, but I don't believe it runs particularly well, so this brand new game feels surprising that they're even trying. Maybe they don't expect people to play far enough to witness the game crumple under its own weight of processing. Otoko Cross Naked Remix 2 is another lewd physical release with Funbox in partnership with East Asia Soft. On Nintendo Switch, it's another one with cross-dressing dudes, and this one I feel is extra snidey because the cover makes them look like legit ladies. But no, they are dudes. This is a 2-game in 1 package and has exclusive nude content. One of the games has the boys flaccid, the others are proud bananas. If that's your bag, go for it. It will only be available physically in Europe, but VGP will be carrying copies for those who like this sort of thing. Muse Dash is getting its import-exclusive pigeonhole taken away from it because it's getting a North American physical release in January next year in a standard and collector's edition. Because it's been published by PM Studios, it's doubtful a European release will happen. I can't think of any of their games off the top of my head that made it to Europe. Anyways, this will supposedly contain all the latest content and updates, which is nice. Eternights is getting a physical release on Switch in October. This is a dating sim mixed in with an action game, something like that. It's supposed to be quite successful at it, with people comparing it to an SMT vibe with action combat and some romance. Maybe not everyone's cup of tea, and if you're expecting like a proper Persona game, you're probably wrong. This already released physically on PS4 and PS5, and in fact, VGP have the PS5 version for like $15 US, so if you want to try it on more powerful hardware, that's a good time. Goat Simulator 3 is getting a physical release on Nintendo Switch in November. This will be only the second Goat Sim game physically on the Switch after the original game got a physical release in Europe. Anyways, as an irresponsible dad, my daughter loves playing this game. It's pretty hilarious to be fair, although we played it on Xbox. It's looking a little rough on the Switch, but I'm sure you'll have fun nonetheless. Worms Armageddon looks to be getting a physical release on Switch. Haven't seen anything about other consoles, and this is for sure in North America since it was revealed in the trailer on Nintendo of America's YouTube channel, and I'm very happy about this. I don't know what they've added to the game aside from like developer interviews, behind the scenes stuff, but to be honest, they don't need to add a thing. The original was perfection. Although I did hear that in the Steam release from like a good few years back, they did remove some content that was deemed acceptable in the late 90s, but not so much for modern audiences. Apparently you're not allowed to take the piss out of Scottish people anymore. Can't we have any pleasure in this world? Again, I don't know if it's based on the same version, maybe it's different, we'll have to see. Either way, it's an amazing game, one of the best multiplayer games ever made. And I played it by myself. The Plucky Squire is a long-awaited indie release that's been pushed heavily by Nintendo since it was announced. It's been developed by an ex-Game Freak employee and is being published by Devolver Digital, so it's going to be a AAA indie game that everyone in the industry loves. And it's looking great, to be fair. It reminds me of RPG Time, The Legend of Right, which is an import-exclusive physical, although I'm sure this has like 10 times the budget that had. Looks great and is releasing physically on Switch and PS5 in February next year. Fairy Tail 2 is getting a physical release in December on Switch, PS5 and PS4. There aren't many pre-orders open for it, but there is a collector's edition available on NIS America's web store. Yes, that weird Koei Tecmo NIS America relationship. I don't understand how that works, but this is a traditional JRPG, I think. Definitely one fans of the anime will enjoy. The Patrick Star game was one of the why the hell was this announced in a direct announcements. I know there are SpongeBob and Patrick fans out there, but did we really need to see the moron roll around for 2 minutes? It's made by Outright Games as well, so it's gonna be serviceable but throwaway. It's releasing physically on Switch, PS5, PS4, and Xbox. Anno Mutationem is getting another release. After limited run last year and Asia and Japan literally this week, I think Clear River Games weren't allowed to talk about this until the most dickish moment possible. But Anno Mutationem is getting a physical release in Europe on Switch and PS5. Great news, but how about mention this a bit earlier so people importing the Asian version had, a choice? Anyways, Japan is better, so it doesn't matter. Better than supporting the Embracer group. But yeah, there's no actual release date as of yet, but it's a fantastic game if you don't own it already. Alright, let's jump into some import announcements. There's actually been quite a few new announcements for imports, but I'm still not 100% sure on English on some of them, so I'm only going to talk about the ones that I am sure about. And if you want 5% off, check the code Jordan24. That helps support me. Click the link first, of course. Sunsoft is back, Retro Games Collection. Now, I've mentioned this game before, but there's been a bit of an update about it, mainly for the fact that it seems the Japanese version will now actually have English, which is interesting, especially considering in the West, the only physical version of this is on the PS5. So if you want to switch physical, it looks like it could be worth a cheeky import. I'm gonna have an impressions video on this in a couple of days, so look forward to that. The Exit 8 plus Platform 8 double pack is a double pack of 2 horror games. Psychological horror, that's perfect for YouTube Let's Plays or streamers. It was made specifically for those guys, I am sure. Quite short from what I've heard, but there is a physical release happening in Japan. It will have English on Switch, PS5, and PS4. A quick shout out to the Evercade. It's been a while, but 2 new physical releases have been announced and pre-orders have just opened. The first, an absolute banger, Legacy of Kain Collection. This includes the first 2 games in the series, Blood Omen, Legacy of Kain, and Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver. Very weird to have a new official release of these 2 games, once again proving Evercade are often found providing a niche that we didn't realize we actually really wanted. I want this. It's releasing in September. Bitmap Brothers Collection 2 is the other one, and this contains 6 games, Cadaver, Cadaver the Payoff, Gods, Magic Pockets, The Chaos Engine 2, and Z, or Z. I've never heard of any of them, but that's what makes this so interesting for me. A re-release of retro games that I've never played before, yeah, I'm kind of all for that. We don't need another Mega Man collection or another Street Fighter collection, okay? Something new and different, that's what I like about Evercade. And there we have it, ladies and gentlemen, a few new announcements from the past few weeks. Please let me know which new announcement is taking your fancy, and if you'd like to pre-order, consider using the links in the description and the pinned comment. That massively helps me out. I really appreciate the support. I hope you all have a fantastic day. Take care. Goodbye.